Manga is defined as a style of Japanese comic books and graphic novels, typically aimed at adults as well as children. Manga, as a medium, is often separated by the normal definitions of literary genres as it consists of a combination of words and illustration. Some would interpret this as a picture book, but even good art has the ability to change someone's life with zero words. Comic books can have compelling stories that alternate the lives of people such as Superman, who became an American icon, Captain America, a symbol of American pride, power, and humility, Iron Man, a genius billionaire playboy and philanthropist, learns to use his crutch as his greatest weapon and eventually becoming more than his past. All of these examples are references to manga in the way that pictures tell stories too. Who are we to judge literature as the earliest forms of writing were just triangles on some rock? Enough of that. Let's get into the video. Vinland Saga is the story I chose for this project because I wanted to apply two strategies we covered in this semester: lateral reading and section reading. Vinland Saga, written by author Makoto Yukimura, is revered as one of the most significant philosophical manga of the 21st century. I chose this manga because in the upcoming spring semester I seek to apply these skills in a philosophy class I plan to take. To me, philosophy is incredible because it allows us to look deeper into our lives. Our very ways of life and virtues that we live by are considered philosophy. The choices we made yesterday, make today, and make tomorrow is influenced by how we value the world around us. Everything we do is philosophy. Before going in depth, the author, Makoto Yukimura, had a rough start pitching his idea to his editors. Vinland Saga's story begins with our main protagonist as a slave. In coming to this decision, Yukimura's editors were surprised at the concept. I said in an interview, since I thought of this story, the part I really wanted to work on was the main character being a slave. And from being a slave to becoming somebody who was exploring a new land. That was the part of the story I really wanted to write. Maybe if I incorporated these elements, we could make this story very exciting. So when we decided to do that, we actually got to excite the editor-in-chief to the point that we can convince him this is going to be a story we can serialize. Yukimura took risk, and with insight of what to come, he incorporated these concepts passionately, leading to creating a main character who was a slave, but became the key figure for everyone to seek out for as an example of their own lives. With slight retaliation from his editor, Yukimura was capable of setting in stone one of the best manga ever written, as people to this day look to it for personal guidance. Many today have made edits on the words Yukimura expressed through his characters. Popular quotes that have been taken and accounted for are, "I have no enemies," and "I want to be a kinder, gentler person." These words resonate with people, feeling as if they see themselves in the characters and how change is so important. In order to incorporate section reading into my project, the titles of each chapter lay a significant message to readers, small hints about events to come as they read and fully realize the significance of the title's context. One chapter that I found to be the most significant during my reading was the title of Chapter 7, named Sword. The context is apparent in the illustration of the pages, as in the previous chapters, we find out that the people of the village have been set to join a war without the ability to question against it. All of the young men and even teenage boys in the village are requested to prepare for war as the fight against England continues on. Thorfinn, who is our main character, is remembering his past in this series of chapters. As the men are preparing to leave, Thorfinn is learning to fight. Rather than participating in mock battles that depict war as a game, Thorfinn begins to take things a little too seriously. He hurts several children, including himself, until he's confronted by his father, who looks at it as roughhousing and nothing more. When he returns home, Thorfinn ditches the toys that imitate a sword and a shield, and instead tries to find real weapons. Inspired by the men who state that they now bear the weapons of their families, the young child seeks out for his family's treasures, rummaging through piles of clothes and other items in the house while being scolded by his older sister. Opening a chest, Thorfinn finds a sheathed short sword that belonged to his father, non-coincidentally named Thor's. Revealing the blade, Thorfinn basks in its presence as he calls the weapon pretty. This is the perfect display of naivety that he has, not realizing what he is holding in his hand is a weapon. But no, it's not a weapon to him at all. Thorfinn views this as a toy, just like the ones that he plays with when playing war with the other village children. Suddenly, Thors grabs the sharp end of the blade, snatching it away from his son before he can do anything with it. Thors looks down to his son as he nonchalantly asks, "Who are you going to kill with this?" "Enemies," Thorfinn says with a stutter. "Who is your enemy?" Thors retaliates in response to his son's non-specific answer. This is Thors pointing out his child's stupid conclusion that he is someone to fight. He wants Thorfinn to tell him deliberately who his actual enemy is. In response to this, Thorfinn hesitates as his father steps down from his menacing gaze, trying to reason with the son by stating,
お前に敵などいない。誰にも敵などいないんだ。傷つけて良いものなどどこにもいない。
Initially confused, Thorfinn is offended by his father's statement as he wishes to prove himself as a man by going to war with his father, but fails to confront him by running out of his home. This part, I believe, shows who is the only one capable of carrying the burden to kill. Thors holds the sharp blade in the way he does so that he can protect his son from using it the wrong way. The only person hurt in this altercation is Thors, reflecting in being the only person to bleed. Thors asks his wife to raise their son well, so that his actions do not bleed onto his family. My duration of reading Vinland Saga, which was 25 chapters, has been an intense experience, as when I finish reading a chapter, I think about how the story reflects life today. The American way of idolizing the military power that we hold reflects how the atmosphere during the time which Vinland Saga takes place is all focused on power instead of focusing on becoming emphatic and learning how to develop from mistakes that we have made within our history. My plan for reading Vinland Saga was not consistent at all because manga is significantly shorter than typical text with page numbers. I chose to read this by chapters because in the guidelines it says to read to a comparable amount. My plans for reading Vinland Saga was not consistent at all because manga is significantly shorter than typical text with page numbers. I chose to read this by chapters because in the guidelines it says to read to a comparable amount. And to meet these requirements, I read the manga just about anywhere I could. I read it at home, I read it at college, and sometimes I also read it during class time because I felt like there were periods that felt like free time to me. If I were to apply these skills to future classes, I doubt it would be effective, but at least in this case, it works, thankfully. Using the strategies have helped me realize how important it is to get the most out of your text. While reading, I focused on the philosophical aspects of Vinland Saga and emerged as a more defined reader as I think about how I can apply what I learn into my own life. Vinland Saga's philosophy is about how war takes us away from our true selves. The more we engage in moments of battle, we leave impressions on people that don't have the care to value our lives. Thorfinn is a slave, but not only to his masters, but also himself and his own desires. Thorfinn's father dies in battle, and dishonorably so by a Viking named Askeladd. Hyper-focused on revenge, Thorfinn devalues the life around him as, while falling into slavery, Thorfinn loses himself again and again. Straying further from the words his father imparted onto him, "You have no enemies." The only enemy Thorfinn truly has is himself. Avoidant of his own internal conflicts and only wishes to fight a worthless fight that rewards him with nothing, people die around him, and he shows numbness to it, as if it is what he expected the world to treat him with. Chapter 17. Thorfinn is found abandoned and in the care of an English mother and daughter. At first, he is apprehensive about their kindness, but is proven wrong when the mother redirects soldiers who are on the hunt for Thorfinn. In response to their act of mercy, Thorfinn tries to give one act of his own by asking them to run, as it was the only word he knew in English. Late in the night, Thorfinn burns down a hut, signaling to the rest of the Vikings he was enslaved by to raid the village. The soldier from before encounters Thorfinn, saying that he was the boy that the mother tried to protect, but is ultimately slain effortlessly by the child. As blood stains his face, he looks in the distance to see the mother from before with tears in her eyes. Thorfinn looks back at her with despair, as he never wanted to hurt these people to begin with. Thorfinn discards this memory, and with it, his innocence, as he hardens his heart, lowers his look, and becomes angry at the world for what kind of person he has become. This is what Vinland Saga is truly depicting. War is the result when people lose their innocence. Their wonder towards the world is shattered by the disheartening notion that you cannot love yourself under a facade. In order to counter against this is acceptance, as Thorfinn is still on his journey to find what he loves despite his hatred. Perhaps in the future, the reason why he still decides to preserve the man that he hates comes from a feeling of endearment. Alright, this is unscripted, so I just want to say thank you to everybody that watched this video. I had the help of some friends that peer reviewed my script for this, and I definitely do plan on reading more chapters after this project, and I also do really look forward to that philosophy class I'm taking. But besides all that, what I want for you guys to take away from this is um, think about philosophy, basically. Just remember that there will always be an internal conflict inside of you, and the only way of overcoming that conflict is, I guess, taking a seat and just start thinking. Just remember that you're more than just a person from what other people see you as. There's more parts to you that maybe you don't even know about yourself yet. And I really hope that this video inspires you to do so. So, thank you.